Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Xiaolin Perspectives, and today we're going to be discussing episode 44 of Xiaolin Showdown, Treasure of the Blind Swordsman. And this episode begins with Master Feng once again assigning the Xiaolin monks a Wudai quest. In this case, this quest involves them hunting for, well, as the title of the episode implies, a Shengong Wu called the Treasure of the Blind Swordsman. Only while other Shengong Wu they can typically track via dojo, in order to find the Treasure of the Blind Swordsman, they need to follow a particular map. Only the map doesn't show much. It shows the trail up to a point, but then it just stops. But see, the thing is, this is intentional. For you see, this quest isn't just about finding the treasure of the blind swordsman. It's also about the Xiaolin monks coming into possession of their Wudai weapons, particular Shengong Wu that are supposed to just belong to each of the Xiaolin monks, align with whatever element they're on that they have, and basically just give them an extra boost in power. Of course, Omi is more than excited to hear about this, as he's always wanted a Wudai weapon, but Master Feng kind of takes the air out of his balloon by letting him know that the Wudai weapons are very particular Shengong Wu. You don't choose them, they choose you. So whatever Wudai weapon they find, well, whatever Xiaolin monk it goes to, that's the one that gets to keep it. As such, with this all in mind, the Xiaolin monks go off on their quest, and apparently their quest takes them to, I assume, Texas, as we see them in a desert in a little wagon that's being pulled by the crouching cougar as they're following the map to where they can find the first Wudai weapon. Unfortunately for them, though, they have some followers, as behind them on a nearby cliff, we see Jack Spicer and Wuya alongside a horde of outlaw bots, as Jack calls them. Basically, they're after the treasure of the blind swordsman too, and much like with the Bird of Paradise Wudai quest, Jack wants to follow the Xiaolin monks till they find the treasure and then swoop in and grab it. And Wuya's there because, well, she wants the treasure too, and, well, Jack's going the same way, so might as well go with him, which I kind of like. I like seeing them working together again, and the excuse that Wuya gives for why Chase is allowing this is that one, he doesn't tell her what to do, and two, she told him that she was at a sleepover with evil friends, which I don't think he bought for a second, but what do I know? Unfortunately, there is a third watcher in the wings, as in the sky we see Hannibal Roy Bean flying on a crow, and apparently he's got his own little cowboy hat too. Don't know where he got it, but hey, he at least knows how to style it, but at least he knows how to keep in style. Point is, with the Xiaolin monks, they follow the map, and one by one, they do end up finding the Wudai weapons, which are each guarded by something strange or mystical. The first Wudai weapon they find is, and I'm sorry, I do want to pull this up because I did kind of have to take notes for this. The first Wudai weapon they find is a sword called Blade of the Nebula, which is located in a rock face guarded by a whole pack of snakes. Thankfully, they're able to get it, and this Shengong Wu ends up going to Raimundo, much to Omi's disappointment. After that, they go to this old saloon where they find the next Wudai weapon called the Arrow Sparrows, which are located in a satchel that's hanging in the saloon, and it's being guarded by the spirit of an old outlaw. And this one goes to Kimiko. After that, they find the next Shengong Wu in a cactus patch called the Big Bang Meteor Ring, which is guarded by, well, magical living cactuses, and this one ends up going to Clay, and finally they end up going into a cave where they find the final Wudai weapon, the Shimo Staff, this weird water-like staff that seems to be guarded by nothing, and yes, this one goes to Omi, much to his disappointment, though when he says how disappointed he is, the Shimo Staff actually looks sad until Omi apologizes and it jumps to him. However, as Omi claims his Wudai weapon, that's when the trap surrounding it ends up activating, as the cave they're in immediately collapses, and all the Xiaolin warriors end up falling into a little cistern below. Thankfully, though, it's at this point that the map does direct them to where the treasure of the blind swordsman is, as it's right there. They see it, like, right on the other side of the cavern, and however, before they can go to reclaim it, well, it turns out the treasure is guarded by, well, a blind swordsman. It's not the blind swordsman, in fact, we meet him later, sort of, and this guy is literally just here to make sure that the treasure doesn't fall into the wrong hands. As such, he challenges the Xiaolin monks to fight him, and says if they can beat him in 5 moves, then he will give them the treasure. And as such, Omi ends up challenging him, and while it looks like, and the thing is, while the guy is blind, he is a very skilled fighter, but Omi is able to at least turn the tide and trick him by making him think there's someone behind him, as he thought he was fighting Clay, and Omi told him that Clay was behind him, and as such, Omi was able to land a decisive blow to knock him down. As such, the guy concedes defeat, and he does allow the Xiaolin monks to take the treasure, and the treasure itself is actually a rather ornate-looking box. Really cool, I dig it. However, when the Xiaolin monks end up opening the box, They find jack shit. The box is empty, which they do find disappointing, but they think, whatever. We at least got the consolation prizes with the Wudai weapons, so we can at least we know we're not going home empty-handed. Still, this box is the titular treasure, so they do need to take it with them, and well, they decide to take the old man with them because, well, he's alone in a cave. They think it's a bad idea for him. They'll just leave him there. As such, all the Xiaolin monks and the old man do end up going to the service, and they do end up leaving. However, as they go, they end up getting ambushed by Jack and Wuya. So as such, the Xiaolin monks end up pulling out their Wudai weapons in order to fight the evil duo, and it blows up in their faces. They have absolutely no idea how to use their Wudai weapons, and as a result, the Wudai weapons basically kind of turn on them, end up blowing up their wagon. The old man is thankfully unharmed, and eventually Jack's robots manage to just hog-tie each of them, and thus Jack and Wuya lay claim to the treasure. Only they encounter the same problem. It's empty, so they just kind of leave it there. Still, they decide, well, whatever. We have the Xiaolin monks here, and they take advantage of that to take whatever Shen Gongwu they have on them, minus their Wudai weapons. As for the old man, well, since he was guarding the treasure of the blind swordsman, they decide that they'll take him with them so that they can learn the secret of the treasure. Even if he's not willing to talk, they have ways of getting the information out of him. Evil ways, as Wuya puts it. As such, they take him with them on a train that Jack built. It flies in the sky, which I kind of dig. And so, as such, the Xiaolin monks are kind of left to their own devices. Thankfully, with the help of Dojo, they're able to get out of their bindings, but they're kind of wondering what the hell they can do from here on. What the hell they can do from here. As such, they go back to where the treasure is, and they kind of remember something the old man said. Basically, and I'm not really going to be able to quote this verbatim, I'm sorry, but basically the idea is that they have to look not with their eyes, but with their minds. And as such, using this information, the Xiaolin monks opened the box and decided that if there truly is something there, then they need to believe that it is there. And sure enough, once they open the box with this mindset, out pops something magical, as the inside of the box glows, and out comes the spirit of the actual blind swordsman, who basically acts as a genie. I'm not even kidding. The whole deal with him is that he can literally grant the wishes of whoever owns the box. Since the Xiaolin monks currently lay claim to it, that means he serves them. As such, the first thing they ask of him is, how the hell did they use their Wudai weapons? And he basically just tells them the same thing the old man did, to see the Wudai weapons not with their eyes, but with their minds. And so with this in mind, when they fully concentrate on their Wudai weapons, they actually can now wield them adeptly. The Omi Shimo staff, it turns out, can shapeshift into a multitude of weapons. The sword of the Nebula can turn into a pair of nunchucks with the chains being made of literal fucking winds, which is kind of awesome. The arrow sparrows end up being able to fly around and target whatever Kimiko wants, and the Big Bang meteorang, when Clay throws it, can cut through literally anything, including solid rock. As such, with the Xiaolin monks now being able to wield their Wudai weapons adeptly, they end up asking the blind swordsman to give them a means to chase after Jack. So he summons up a pack of horses, and the group ends up racing off to find him. They would have taken Dojo, but earlier in the episode, he made a Dojo's brown surprise food, which is unfortunately not agreeing with his stomach, and as a result, he's not really in a position to help right now. Either way, back with the villains. As they're making their escape, the Xiaolin monks manage to catch up to them, and so Jack sicks his outlaw bots on them. But since the Xiaolin monks can now more expertly wield their Wudai weapons, they're able to take out the outlaw bots no problem. As such, with the tide of battle turning, Wuya just tells Jack that they need to grab whatever Shen Gongwu they can and just get out of here. As such, they grab the bag of Shen Gongwu, only for the blind old man to get in their way and basically say that if they want to escape, they got to go through him. As such, the duo end up fighting him, and he does manage to overpower them enough, as to the point where they end up knocking a few of the Shen Gongwu out of the bag. In this case, the Thorn of Thunderbolt, the Silk Spitter, and the Mantis Flip Coin. With the old man grabbing the Mantis Flip Coin, Jack grabbing the Thorn of Thunderbolt, and Wuya grabbing the Silk Spitter. As such, all three of them make a grab for the bag of Shen Gongwu, and so the old man challenges the duo of evildoers to a Xiaolin showdown trio, with, of course, him wagering the Mantis Flip Coin, Jack Thorn of Thunderbolt, Wuya Silk Spitter. And the challenge in this case, it's King of the Train. Basically, the trio are going to be fighting on the train, and the last one that's left standing on the train will be declared the winner. As such, Jack and Wuya agree to the terms of this showdown, with the added stipulation that if they win, he'll tell them the secret of the treasure. And as such, Xiaolin showdown time, and okay, I have to admit, I think this one's my favorite of this season, because, oh sweet mother of God, the train goes into fucking space. We leave the Earth's atmosphere, goes into space, we see what looks like Saturn, the rings multiply and become the literal tracks, the train itself turns into smoke, and on top, and then it just kind of rides around all the tracks with Jack, Wuya, and the old man just standing on top of it. It's, from a visual standpoint, it's fucking spectacular, and I love it. But either way, Jack and Wuya end up battling with the old man, and unfortunately, he's a really damn good fighter. Whenever they try and use their Shengang Wu against them, he's able to turn it right back in their faces and knock them down. And as a result, and even when they do think they have him cornered, he uses the man as flip coin to get out of the way, and as a result, Jack and Wuya end up getting each other. Point is, he's whooping their asses something fierce, and by the end, both of them are knocked off the train, and so the old man wins the showdown, winning the grab bag of Shengang Wu, as well as the Silk Spitter and the Thorn of Thunderbolt. As such, when everything returns to normal, the Xiaolin monks are happy to see the old man, and so they decide, as the old man tries to leave, he ends up falling off the train. He was trying to find the bathroom. The Xiaolin monks save him, but unfortunately, they have other pressing matters to attend to. For you see, when the Xiaolin monks went to go chase Jack Spicer and Wuya, they made the boneheaded decision of leaving the treasure of the Blind Swordsman behind because they think it would slow them down. As a result, they go back to where the treasure is supposed to be, and find that it's gone. And when they wonder who took it, when Dojo examines the tracks from it being dragged away, he sees what looks like a little tiny trail leading it away, and basically confirming that it was Hannibal Roy Bean that took it. And sure enough, the end of the episode cuts to Hannibal as he's somewhere else in the desert, as he opens up the treasure, and we see it glowing, as he knows it's secret, and he fully plans on using this Shengang Wu for his own nefarious purposes. So there you go. But yeah, that was Treasure of the Blind Swordsman, and my thoughts on it? I think it's pretty good. When I was watching the episode, there was a part of me that wanted to call this episode on a similar level to Bird of Paradise. But this episode, I think, beats Bird of Paradise by miles. It's not a perfect episode by any means, because at the end of the day, it's just a simple fetch quest, one that may have larger implications later, but it at least had more weight to it than the Bird of Paradise episode, as this one actually does involve the Xiaolin monks actually kind of furthering their studies into being Wudai warriors, not just finding the treasure of the Blind Swordsman, but also adding to their personal repertoires by finding their Wudai weapons. And if I can talk about the Wudai weapons, I think they're all really damn cool. I like the versatility of each of them, and I like how in some ways you don't really see how these weapons could fit with each of the Xiaolin monks, or at least two of them. In the case of Kimiko and Raimundo, theirs I think somewhat fit, although when I first saw Raimundo with the Blade of the Nebula. Sorry, I was blanking on the word for a second. When I first saw Raimundo with the Blade of the Nebula, I was a little surprised how this was a wind weapon. I mean, we had the Sword of the Storms, but how was the Blade of the Nebula basically supposed to be something for Raimundo? And then we see it transform into a pair of wind nunchucks, and I'm like, okay, I can see it. Although I'm wondering why it's called the Blade of the Nebula when its actual powered-up form doesn't even look like a sword. It's weird. It's weird. There are two Shengang Wu that are technically swords that aren't actually used like swords. Like, why? Why? Swords are cool. Use them like swords. Like, I don't get it. It's weird, and I just kind of find it strange. Either way, it's somewhat cool. The Arrow Sparrows, I think, are really nice. Again, it's basically just a satchel full of these things that Kimiko can throw out like little stars. It's really damn cool. The Big Bang Meteorang is the one that you kind of would be a little questionable about because it's Clay's Wudai weapon, and you kind of expect it to be like something that would actually look strong, but in practice, it is something that would fit for him, as while it may look small and versatile, the thing is so strong it can cut through anything, like I said. And then there's Omi's. It honestly feels like a perfect reflection of him too, as it's a small little weapon that seems unassuming, but then when it's actually used in practice, it can shapeshift into a variety of weapons that Omi can use at his disposal, and that's kind of cool. And in fact, yeah, I think each of the Xiaolin War, in fact, I like that actually, that's the common theme with the Wudai weapons. They're more than meets the eye, which does kind of play into the theme of the episode with seeing with your mind, not just with your eyes, kind of, the episode seems to be, getting tongue-tied. It plays well into the theme of seeing with your mind, not with your eyes, that the episode is pushing for, and it works well. As each of the Wudai weapons on their own do look unassuming, but then when actually used for their proper purposes, they kick major ass. Like I said, the sword becomes a pair of nunchucks. The Big Bang Meteorang, despite looking small and not something that Clay would use, kicks a lot of ass. The Shimo staff can shapeshift into a variety of weapons, even though it looks unassuming in its base form. And the And the arrow sparrows, are these they look like they're tiny little look like these tiny little things that you wouldn't actually see as a threat, but they zero in on targets and they pack a major punch. It's really damn cool. I dig it, especially since when we first found that particular wood weapon, all we saw was the satchel. We didn't know what it was called, so I do like that. As for the treasure of the blind swordsman, it's again another OP Shen Gong Wu. I know at some point the good guys will get their hands on it again, as I know Kimiko uses it in another particular episode, but I think but I feel like it's also one of those Shen Gong Wu that doesn't get fully utilized because because like I said, this thing is basically a genie's lamp. The spirit of the blind swordsman can grant the wishes of anybody who has this thing. And to my knowledge, I don't think it's actually fully utilized as one would expect someone to utilize it. So yeah, I'm gonna probably say that may be a flaw. It's a cool Shen Gong Wu, don't get me wrong. I just think it's a little underutilized. So there you go. Otherwise, though, the rest of the episode I do find to be enjoyable. I do like the present theme in there of being able to just kind of see with your mind, not just with your eyes, which is something that was actually pushed as early as the Bird of Paradise episode. As Master Feng did warn the Xiaolin monks that they would not always have to trust their eyes, but they'd have to be able to rely on other senses in order to reach their goals and beat whatever challenges come their way. And I like that this episode does kind of showcase that with them finding their Wudai weapons, finding the treasure, and so on and so forth. I like that. I like that. I like the quest to find the Wudai weapons, as each of the challenges that the Xiaolin monks have to overcome in order to get their weapons is unique and varied. I like seeing Jack and Wuya again. It's a small thing, but honestly, I kind of like it. Yeah, I called question to the fact that they were allies again in season 2, but they're a great duo, and they still work well off each other here. As Wuya is still in the same kind of role that she was in before. She still has the same tit for tat that she does with Jack, and when they're working together, they're just a great evil pair. Again, while Wuya may gravitate towards power, Jack is kind of the safe option for her. She'll always go back to him because she knows that he's always going to work to deliver, and I like that. It's kind of great. And I kind of like that. And kind of another little funny thing. I love that everyone was in cowboy aesthetics, save for maybe the blind swordsman. I'm not kidding. All the Xiaolin monks were in cowboy attire, which for Clay is normal, but whatever. While Jack was in cowboy attire, Wuya had her own little outlaw outfit. Like you said, even Hannibal Roy Bean had a little cowboy hat. Like, why would he need to wear that? I get the sunlight, but come on, man. How did he get that? That's great. On top of that, I liked the old man. I liked the blind old man kind of deal. I like the blind old man. He was a honestly fun little side character, just something for the episode. I think maybe there was a few things about him that did make me go, maybe that's a little too far, because they do quite a few blind jokes of this guy, and while I did get a kind of chuckle out of it, at the same time I'm like, this kind of feels a little insulting for someone who's supposed to be this great of a fighter, and so I don't know. It feels like a double-edged sword. Like, on the one hand, the jokes were funny. At the same time, it's kind of insulting, especially since this guy is supposed to be such a great fighter. And we do see that as a fighter, he kicks a lot of ass. Like, when he fights against Omi, he was able to counter him. When he was in the Xiaolin showdown with Jack and Wuya, he was holding his own. But then, likewise, in other moments, he's like, okay, I need to find the bathroom. Walks off a train. They're in a cave. Oh, we can't leave him in this cave. I'm in a cave? Like, what? I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. I like him, but at the same time, maybe could have pulled back on the blind jokes. So I don't know. Either way, overall, I do find the episode to be enjoyable. It does definitely have a bitter ending, as while the Xiaolin monks did find their Wudai weapons, they lost the treasure of the blind swordsman. Yeah, that does end up hurting them in the end. But I like the pathos that they're going for with the whole look with your mind and not with your eyes kind of dealy. The action, of course, is kick-ass. The Wudai weapons are fun, and the journey to getting them is cool. Jack and Wuya as an evil pair is still fun to see again. The Xiaolin showdown kicked so much ass. On the whole, I do think it's a pretty good episode. Not great, but pretty good overall. So, yeah, I think that's really all to say. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I hope to see you next week. Take care.